Moin, ihr wunderbare Menschen des Interwebs. Ich begrüße euch ganz herzlich zurück zu meinem Let's Play von The Great Ace-Attorney Chronicles. Wir wollten uns einmal beim Tatort umsehen. Und das machen wir jetzt einfach mal. Mal gucken, ob wir hier nochmal irgendwas herausfinden können. Zumindest zum jetzigen Zeitpunkt. Oh, hello again, Inspector Gregson. What are you doing here? Well, we were hoping to have another look around, actually. The lawyer representing the defendant has a right to examine the scene, as I'm sure you are aware. Yeah, I know the score. Oh, yes, one other thing. The soap on the latch outside the window. Did you find it? With the tea in it? Yeah, we found it alright, and there was a small amount of tea in it, as you said. I knew it. It's with the identification section at the yard now. They're looking into it. The results should be available later today. That's wonderful news. Thank you. Pretty impressive performance in court this morning. Sorry. Nothing, forget it. Just make sure you don't disturb anything in here. Hat Inspector Gregson uns gerade ein Kompliment gemacht? Are you looking for new clues, Inspector? On Lord von Zieg's orders, yeah. Don't come back till you've got something for me, he says. Oh dear, poor you. Yeah, poor me, because we've already searched every bleeding nook and cranny in this place. I do know what he expects, to be honest. Thank goodness for warm chips is all I can say. Well, at least he's honest. Mr. Sholmes, what are you up to over there? What a question indeed. Was it not your good self who asked me to attend the scene? Oi, what are you doing here, Sholmes? What are you up to over there? What are you doing here? Dear me, once a great detective, one is always under scrutiny, it seems. It's now the time, Mr. Sholmes. Are you about to show us your forensic talents in action as you promised? With the greatest of pleasure, my dear madam. What's all this? All this is precisely what you requested, Mr. Naruhodo. Sherlock Sholmes' sensational skin print seeker gun. Moments ago, I took a sample from the teacup that was used by the victim. A sample from Mr. Shakespeare's cup? Each individual leaves microscopic secretions on everything he or she touches. A sample of those secreta is all I need to produce this refined indicator solution by liberally spraying the room with this chemical. Everything the victim touched was instantly revealed with the aid of these goggles. Here, try them on. There, now, spray this chemical indicator about and all will be revealed. Spray? How do I do that exactly? A little press of space on the area you're interested in is all that's required, like this. What is that stuff? It's like fog. A suspension of the chemical indicator in a pressurized gas. It's the most efficient way to cover a large area. It was another invention I discovered incidentally whilst I was developing this idea. As you do. Go ahead, try it, my dear fellow. We may learn something interesting about the victim's movements on the night in question. Well, there's nothing to lose, I suppose. Let's explore. Look, there are dozens of handprints here. So there are a great many indeed, so much so that it's hard to make out any individual print in fact. Sends a chill down my spine. Perhaps he was leaning against the wall while he admired his picture? Unlikely, I would say. It's a rather dull scene after all. And without wishing to state the obvious, you wouldn't generally admire a picture from such close quarters, I feel. Very true, Miss Susato. It's a bit of a mystery then. Ich kann auch einfach Linksklick die ganze Zeit spammen, dann kann ich auch sprühen. Oh, look at all this here. Ah yes, interesting. A multitude of the victim's handprints. Why are there so many of them on the floor in this one spot? Perhaps he had a bad fall just here? There's nothing obvious that he would have tripped over though, is there? Nee, aber das Holz ist nach oben gebogen, das heißt, da muss irgendein Versteck sein, unten drunter. I wonder, personally, I often stumble when there's nothing obvious to trip over. I think that's something only a great detective would do, Mr. Sholmes. Well, this is quite a puzzle. Handprints all over the floor. Yes, there is no obvious explanation. Und vielleicht hat er noch ein Versteck hinterm Bild dann. Well, we sprayed Mr. Sholmes' amazing skin print indicator all over this room, didn't we? We did, but there are few places in particular that are of interest, I would say. The handprints on the floor there. And on the wall by the picture, you mean? Yes, and I think the floor warrants closer investigation. I won't be a moment. What is it, Miss Susato? Look here, Mr. Naruhodo. One of the floorboards has popped out. One of the... You mean... It's a secret hiding place? Excellent work, Miss Susato. So, what do we have in here? Oi, what are you lot doing? Inspector Gregson, stand aside right this minute. It's my job to investigate there. No need, Inspector. You continue to dig into your portion of chips whilst we dig around under the floor here. Your fancy talk's putting me off my food anyway, Sholmes. A new bit of evidence is exactly what I need. Wow, a secret hiding place under the floor. What a find. It's not a hiding place you could make use of in Japan. I don't think I could fit a... I don't think I could lift a straw tatami mat. No, I know, but I never expected one of these wooden floorboards to move either. It's got me wondering about the wall over there too. Aren't you curious? I will investigate at once. There's nothing behind the picture, sadly, only the wall. How disappointing. But then, how do you explain the handprints? I really can't think why anyone would have been touching the wall over and over in one place like that. There you are, a print for you. Okay, the photograph of the handprints on the wall has been entered into the court records. Thank you very much. His invention can make prints too. Now then, I wonder if Inspector Gregson has found anything under the floor there. I'm desperate to know. So am I. I would love to know if there's anything hidden underneath the floorboard there. Allow me to ask, Gregson now. After all, we are well acquainted. Inspector Gregson, really, it's been too long. What is it, Sholmes? I thought perhaps you might show me what you found there, seeing as we are such good friends. We are not friends. No, I suppose not. A dismal failure. Yes, I heard. I would kill to know what was under that floorboard. Alright then. Fair is fair. What? You did discover the hidden place after all. I suppose I should at least fill you in. Really, Inspector? Thank you. Do it quickly, my dear fellow. If there's one thing I know about this man, it's that he blows with the wind, as fickle as the weather. Oi, stop making me out to be some kind of nut. There were 3 items under the floor there, a newspaper clipping, a photographic print, and a tin box. Now, what do you want to know? Ooh, alles. The box? Now the tin box looks interesting, doesn't it? Might I suggest, Inspector, that you open it? If you were to find something inside that reveals the truth behind this case, I wouldn't be in the least surprised. Yeah, funnily enough, I've already had a look. It's completely empty. Shakespeare, give us a clue, man. You didn't even have the chance to utter a word, Mr. Naruhodo. But anyway, at least we found out what's inside the box. Yes, thin air. It's empty, rather like how I feel inside. Is there nothing more to this box then? I wonder. So, this is the photograph I found. Looks reasonable reason to me. Okay, das ist Gary Depp. Und das hier ist doch der... Da war doch... Ach Gott, wie hieß die denn nochmal? Die wir im Krankenhaus besucht haben. Die hatte so ein Bild auf dem Tisch stehen. Oh, sorry, ich habe gerade weitergedrückt. Auf dem Tisch stehen und da war der Mann hier zu sehen auf dem Foto. And the gentleman on the left is Mr. Gary Depp, the landlord, of course. But who's the young man on the right? Mr. Gary Depp's son, perhaps? Perhaps. You can take the print if you like. Really? Are you sure? We can presume, therefore, that the yard already knows. The identity of the young fellow, that is. Is that true? Well, it's too bad if we do. Unfortunately for you lot, leaking information isn't one of my pastimes. My dear Inspector, if I may be so bold as to point something out, pastimes are for one's leisure, but this is for work. All the more reason I'm not telling you. A dismal failure. Yes, I heard. Okay, the hidden photograph has been entered into the court records. I wonder why a photograph like this was hidden under the floor. I mean, Mr. Shakespeare himself isn't in it. Photographic prints are still rare treasures in the East End. I imagine Mr. Gary Depp was rather delighted to have been immortalized. He probably made a proud present of it. Oder Mr. Shakespeare ist der junge Mann auf dem Foto und man erkennt ihn jetzt einfach nur nicht, weil er verkleidet ist. Looks like this was cut out of the paper about 3 months ago. It's about a convict who got sick and died while he was serving time up in Manchester. How terrible. It made the headlines down here in London as well. The bloke had been sentenced to death, you see, but nature got him first. Oh my goodness. He had committed a capital offense? Man by the name of Selden, nasty piece of work into burglaries and murder. They say the hoard he'd knocked off was worth about £1,000. A hoard? Of treasure, you mean? Jewelry and the like, but he'd hidden it somewhere and no one knows where, and now he's dead. The papers loved it, of course. £1,000 lost en route to hell, or some such was the headline. Does it not strike you, though? Why such an article would be so carefully ensconced under the floor? I suppose now you mention it, it does seem a bit odd. perhaps I will go over the paperwork we've got on Selden back at the yard and see if I can turn anything up. Okay, den Artikel würde ich mir dann auch gerne einmal angucken. Oder vielleicht ist er ja der Sohn von dem Dieb. Pizza. Oh, Waggy. Oh, look. It's a lovely little kitty cat. What was its name? Mr. Natsuma's, isn't it? I don't think we ever asked him, actually. Why don't we call it, Waggy? You know, like Mr. Natsuma refers to himself in Japan. I wonder how he got in here. Clever cat. Oh, wonderful. Well then, Waggy, here's something delicious I bought for you from the cat's meat man. He couldn't be happier now, look. I just hope we can bring some happiness to his owner, too. That was a cheeky little meow, Waggy. Oh, but he's so adorable. I could sit and watch him forever. I think he may not appreciate it after a while, and we have an investigation to get back to. This is some sort of makeshift stage, I think, isn't it? Where does the audience sit, though, for the nightly Shakespeare performance? Actors aspiring to the great stage must practice their art, Mr. Naruhodo, with or without an audience. In fact, on a related note, perhaps you should set up a mock bench for the defense in your office. What? Then you could practice your art every single day. I will think about it, if you promise to don a beard and play the role of the judge. Well, if that would help you achieve your goal, this I have to see. Okay, wir können uns das aber leider nicht angucken, woher die kleine Katze kam. Gut, dann ist die Frage, können wir auch nichts mehr weitermachen? Okay, gut, dann würde ich mir jetzt gerne einmal Court Record alles angucken, was wir hier gefunden haben. Also, wir haben die Handprints, wir haben das Foto hier. Wie gesagt, ich könnte mir halt vorstellen, dass das eventuell Shakespeare ist. Man erkennt ihn jetzt nur nicht, weil er sich verkleidet hat. Und der Zeitungsartikel. Manchester's Strangeways prison announced the death of convicted murderer and burglar Selden by natural causes in the early hours this morning. He had been suffering with fever since the end of October. Alerted by the shouts of his fellow cellmate, medical staff arrived to find him already dead before his capital punishment could be carried out. Fellow cellmate? Vielleicht war Mr. Shakespeare im Gefängnis? Strange. Vielleicht können wir ja einmal zu Mr. Gary Depp gehen. Und vielleicht kann er uns ja mehr darüber sagen. Mr. Gary Depp appears to be out. Oh well, I suppose we will just have to come back again later. Okay, schade. Er ist gerade nicht da. Schade, schade, schade. Ich hätte ihn jetzt gerne gefragt, wer der Herr auf dem Foto ist. Aber ich schätze mal, dass wir das dann erst später herausfinden werden. Gut, dann würde ich sagen, ist das Gefängnis unser nächster unser nächster Zielort. Wir gucken, ob Mr. Natsuma da ist. Ja. Sehr deprimiert, der Arme, aber auch verständlich. Oh, Mr. Natsuma is back. So he is. Mr. Natsuma, hello. I am a cat. Sorry. I don't know who Mr. Natsume is, or Herlock Sholmes. I don't know about courts, or trials, or Old Baileys. I'm a cat. That's what I am. Just a cat. Mr. Naruhodo, he's trying to escape from reality. Trying to? He already has, completely. So, what is your name then? As yet, I have no name. Mr. Naruhodo, he hasn't fully thought out his new identity yet. Maybe it's not too late to bring him back to reality. Do you think you could open your eyes for us, Mr. Natsume? I'm not a cat. It worked. He's back in the real world. What's going on to become of me? Don't answer that. It's obvious. My accursed soul is never going to escape this accursed fate. Mr. Natsume, no. This morning's proceedings in court prove that there is hope. Yes. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo was brilliant, but the Reaper is omnipresent in court, in my lodgings, here, there, everywhere. What's he looking straight at me for? I think perhaps there are some things we should discuss. Oh, yes, we must. In my whole life, have I ever been so moved as I was today? No. Of course, if I cast my mind back, there were perhaps one or two other occasions that moved me more. But if I just blocked those out, then today, being in that courtroom was... It was the most moving experience of my life, locum student Mr. Naruhodo. You're too kind. Scotland Yard found the remaining tea just as we deduced and are analyzing it as we speak. There's nothing wrong with that tea. They won't find a drop of poison in it. That's a solemn sworn Soseki certainty. Tell me, did you both drink the tea at the same time that night? Oh, yes, most definitely. Remember, drink tea while it's hot. We both poured it down our throats like it was a hot bath for our bellies. And at the time, you were both completely fine. As shown by the fact that he and Mr. Shakespeare then engaged in the Romeo and Juliet match. I suppose the focus of tomorrow's proceedings will be how the poison was taken by the victim then. That rotten Shakespeare! What have I ever done to him? You don't recall him taking issue with you over anything you've done recently? I've been holed up in my room, immersed in books. I don't recall anything. Anything at all. Right. But what I don't understand is why he didn't let me know sooner. Let you know what, Mr. Natsume? About the soap, of course. What else? Oh dear. Are you struggling with such a meager stipend? Of course I am. If I had money, I wouldn't have chosen to live in an accursed existence in such accursed lodgings. Oh yes, you said it's because the place is cursed that it's so cheap, didn't you? Yeah, exactly, especially the room that I rent. The spirit of that capital offender who lived there still haunts the place, and it's trying to kill me. Capital offender? Might I ask, locum student Mr. Naruhodo, that the next time you visit me, you bring scores of soft soaps? Okay, jetzt ist nur die Frage, ob wir ihm hier einige Sachen zeigen können und er uns vielleicht mehr dazu sagen kann. Mr. Natsume, it's nothing much, but... Oh, it's been too long since I've been offered a present. Okay, nein, dazu sagt er uns nichts. Dazu sagt er uns nichts. Dann... Was ist mit dem Foto? Okay, zum Foto kann er uns auch nichts sagen. Gut, ich denke auch zum Zeitungsartikel wird er uns dann nichts sagen können. Gut, dann ist die Frage, wo gehen wir als nächstes hin? Könnten zum Krankenhaus gucken. Ich meine, da war ja ein Foto von dem Mann. Vielleicht könnte Miss Green uns da weiterhelfen. Aber ich denke mal, da machen wir uns im nächsten Part Gedanken drüber. Hier gibt es jetzt erstmal einen Cut. Ich bedanke mich ganz herzlich fürs Zusehen. Hoffe, ihr hattet Spaß. Und wenn ihr mögt, sehen wir uns sehr, sehr gerne im nächsten Part wieder. Bis dahin. Ciao.